Alright y'all, welcome back to another episode of Retro ReWire. My name is JJ, and in today's episode we're going to continue the In the Hunt series and finish at the Surugaya in Shinjuku. Now this is part 3, and we will be taking a look at the display case, so I'm definitely looking forward to this part. Now in parts 1 and 2 we took a look at quite a bit, mostly all within the first initial aisle that I started filming in. We saw things from Famicom games, Xbox games, junk games, PC games, boxed Super Famicom games, Sega Saturn games, and a few other things. So if you haven't seen those 2 episodes, please be sure to check those out because there's a lot of good stuff to behold. Now, without further ado, let's just go ahead and cut to the footage. So sit back and relax and let's enjoy the display case at the Surugaya in Shinjuku. Alright y'all, so we're finally at the Surugaya display case in Shinjuku. It lines up the entire back wall. Let's take a look at some consoles. $240 for this Neogeo AES. Doesn't include any cables or controllers, just for the console. We got a twin Famicom down there. And above that, we got different flavors of the PlayStation 3. We got $60 for these PS3 Slims, which happen to be my favorite version of the PS3. Above that, we got a PS3 Fat for $100, although it has some lettering, could have some issues. Xbox One X, and then we have a PC Engine CD-ROM attachment for $220. Above that, we have a Neogeo CD for $100 and another one for $50. They are probably missing a few items or have some kind of issues, which is why they're so cheap. And we got some Xbox One X's, and then we have the Wii U, which it quite didn't make it inside the display case. And then next to that, we have some some 3DOs. But what was nice to see was that, that they had Wonder Swans and Neogeo Pocket Colors, and not just your typical Nintendo handhelds. $120 for that Neogeo Pocket Color, $270 for this Neogeo, this Game Gear Micro, and the Duo R for $250, although it has issues. And yeah, some more Wonder Swans, $57 there. We got $130 for the Neogeo Pocket Color. And then as you can see here, there's an assortment of Game & Watch like systems. They kind of vary in price. Not really into these, but I could definitely see the appeal to collectors. And then we have a Pocket Pikachu for $40. And then, here's the Neogeo Pocket Color there for $123, and a Game & Watch for $44. $120 for that box, the Game Boy. And then we have just a bunch of Super Famicom Minis for $80. Usually these are priced at $100, so they could be missing items. And then we have just the Mega Drive Mini for $50, although they only include 1 controller, not the 2 like the other edition. Then we have the Neogeo Mini, which is an awesome system. This Hamaru one has the 2 controllers, everything's transparent, and it has some limited edition items, which are a trading card and a non-slip pad. And then a Swan Crystal, and then different flavors of the Game Boy Advance. That Final Fantasy IV edition, $320. Super expensive. And then we got a few PC Engine systems here, next to a Sega Master System for $200. And next to that we have a Mega Drive 2, although it's just a console, and as you can see here, it's priced at $40. But yeah, back to these Game Boy Advances. Look at that. The Classic Edition is $300. So definitely not a cheap version of that. And then we have this Cobra. Not really sure what that is, but I know it's an anime, but I'm not really sure what that specific item is. We got the Classic Box Mini for the Famicom Mini, and a few Game Boy Colors. Average price seems to be about $35, and then some more Pocket Pikachus back there. Then next to that, we have some Game Boy Micros, $220 for that that Famicom colored one. And then we have these little adapters, which I'm not sure what they do. Perhaps if you know, maybe you can leave a comment down below. But $60, $65, so definitely not cheap. And then we got the PC Engine Mini for $128, and a twin Famicom for $430, next to a Duo R at $288. All 3 kind of expensive. And then we have some more versions of, we have the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance SP, $100. I really like that color scheme. Next to this Game Boy Color Pokemon Edition for $320. Super expensive. But if you're a collector, there you go. And then of course we got the Nintendo DS. Now this is a system which I recommend. Just go to like a hard off or some kind of thrift shop and just get it in the junk section. They're usually like about $100, or even getting it off eBay is a lot less expensive if that's an option for you. And then down below, a Super System card, $37. And then just different editions and versions of the 3DS. Pretty cool system, definitely worth having in the collection. And then of course we can't forget about the PSP. Freaking love this system. We even have a few just kinds in the nooks and crannies here. And at $35 for this white version. They actually had another one mixed in with the games for $20, which was definitely a steal. Then we got the Game Boy Player for $25, although those do not include the disc. Then we got like an arcade stick with a cracked faceplate. A Sega Mark III. We got a train controller back there. $11 for this Wii U gamepad. $60 for that Game Boy Micro. Not a bad deal for that one. And then just a different assortment of controllers and cables. And we'll do another comb over through this area just because there's just so much stuff. But we got the PS3 messaging attachment for $8. Then we got the train controller, $120. Those things are always expensive. Then we got the PC Engine carrying case. We got a GunCon 3 for $61. This Pro Soccer thing for $30. That might be like a TV game controller. And there's like a Mega Drive there. A Mega Drive 2. And then we got the thick AV cables. Gotta have good quality AV cables. Then we got this arcade stick for $90. Seems to be like a special edition. $290 for the PC Engine Duo R. Then we got $18 for these 3DO gamepads. And for the PS1, $40. And they actually had the screen in the back. I think that one was like a little bit over $100. We got the disc system for $8,000. And then we got Mega Drive Minis with the 2 controllers for $75 next to the Real Deal. And then we have this Nasane. I think this is like a TV recorder that you can hook up to your PS3 and it just kind of saves it to the hard drive. And a VGA box for $41 for the Dreamcast. But anyhow, that's the hardware. Let's go ahead and take a look at some games. And as you can see, we have Sailor Moon there for $35. We got Bomberman 5 in the gold cart for $270. You got to be a baller to shop out of this case. And then we have Final Fight Tough, otherwise known as Final Fight 3 for $100. Wild Guns for $200. Sonic Blast Man 2 for $60. Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems for $60. Another Final Fight Tough for $100. We got Ninja Warriors back there for $93. Yeah, kind of expensive. Definitely expensive. And then we have this Captain Commando for $51. Focus on it here. Pretty cool game. Definitely like that game. And then we have Mega Drive games boxed. Battletoads for $269. $330 for Rystar. Rocket Knight Adventures for $220. We got this Super Street Fighter 2X for Dreamcast at $298. And then we got in the back over here Steel Empire $210. And look at that awesome steampunk cover. Freaking love it. But yeah, all sorts of cool Mega Drive games in the box. Yeah, a lot of good stuff, but definitely not cheap. But you know what? If you're in Japan, if you're planning to come, it makes sense to just buy in places like this because sometimes it's cheaper than, spending a lot of money going around just game hunting. Especially if you're pressed for time and you're with people that are not really into retro game hunting. If you're in a pinch, this is usually the place to come. But all sorts of stuff. I mean, look at all this. Last Hope for $233. And at the start of this little section, we had Neogeo Turf Masters for $700 and Kintaro for $298. And then we got a few PS2 games with the Outrun 2 there for $110. Definitely an expensive game. Then we got Castlevania 3 for 48 on the Famicom. Power Rangers for 86. That's a pretty cool game too, by the way. And then $60 for Dracula X. Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja 3 for $33. I wonder what this Pizza Pops is. Never seen that before. Then about $75 for Pocky and Rocky. ActRaiser 2, 41. But yeah, all sorts of goodies. Yeah, Pizza Pops. I wonder what that is. And then in the back there, we got Wolverine for about $220 boxed. Kind of expensive. Definitely not worth that price. But if you're a collector, you know they're limited, so that's why it's so high. But it's just crazy the amount of stuff that they had in here and the way they have it displayed. It's like going into a museum. But everything's priced to sell. Then we got some loose Famicom games here. They had Flintstones there for $93. Gotta love those Sunsoft games. And then we have Fighter's History for about $35, and then Amazing Spider-Man for about $80. Undercover Cops for $180, and another copy of Dracula X for $60. And there's that Flintstones game for $95. And of course, we can't forget about Neogeo, possibly the most expensive out of any of the games in here. I think they had one that was over like $1,000. And then we have this Castlevania Adventure 3 for $100. And then Order of Ecclesia on DS, $138, $110 for Portrait of Ruin, super expensive. And then $186 for Turtles there on the Super Famicom. And then $628 for Dicing Night, which is kind of like a Zelda game, but a little different in the mechanics. At least from what I've seen, I could be totally wrong. And then we got some loose Mega Drive games. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for $48. Splatterhouse 2 for $86. They had Contra Hardcore for $100. Aleste for $88. A lot of good stuff there. And then Gunstar Heroes for $25 loose. Freaking awesome game. Although I do have that on 3DS, and it's freaking awesome in 3D. And then just more games. I mean, just tons and tons of stuff. I mean, look at all this madness. You could easily, if you come here, you're gonna spend hours here. We got another Pocky and Rocky for $78, and they also had Part 2 loose for $135. And then here we go with the loose handheld stuff. We got the Mother Collection for $50. We got Metroid Zero Mission there. And then, as you can see there's a few PC Engine games. They had Final Soldier there in the Hue card for $248. But yeah, all sorts of good stuff. And they also had for the PC Engine, as you see here, Adventure Island for $35 and $40 for Splatterhouse. And then, as you saw there's the Final Soldier. And feel free to pause if you want to look, because there's quite a bit of stuff. $170 for F-Zero there on the Game Boy Advance. But anyhow, I definitely want to show you this game that's coming up. Castlevania in the cart, $500 for the Famicom. The disc system version is definitely a lot cheaper, but you know that has like a not compatibility, but it might not work, or it might have a different game on it, because back in the day they had kiosks which you could rewrite. 100 there for Kid Dracula. But anyhow, this is the games. I hope you enjoyed this. There's definitely quite a bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut back to the studio, and then we'll wrap things up. Definitely a lot of good stuff. All right, y'all, so we're pretty much at the end of this episode, this part 3. We took a look at the display case. Definitely a lot of cool games in there. Some of them super expensive. Some of them, you know, decently priced. And definitely a lot of hardware and pretty good prices on some of that stuff in there. And well, yeah, that pretty much brings up or ends the series for the Surugaya in Shinjuku. Now, as I've been mentioning throughout this series, I will be returning and I will be filming the other aisles in the near future, so keep a lookout for that. Now, in regard to In the Hunt, I will be continuing at a hard off in Chiba this time around. Definitely some interesting stuff out that way, so keep a lookout for that episode. But anyhow, my name is JJ. Thank you for checking out Retro ReWire. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you all very, very soon. Ciao. During this go, but was I looking at the, and you know, what am I trying to say here? Just buy it. Definitely a good alternative if you're, you know, in Japan and shopping for video games.